look at it this way. If you could break the chains of poverty now, your children and possibly their children you're going to be the reference. They're going to be like, okay, my grandparent did this and they were wealthy. And not only that, you're going to be able to leave something for them. You're listening to Inside Young Minds, the podcast exploring the thoughts, fears, and hopes of today's youth. Let's dive in. Hello, guys, and welcome again to Inside Young Minds. And today, I'm doing a solo. As you can see, it's just gonna be by myself, and I have a very serious topic to talk about today. And I hope you guys turn in and listen very careful because I feel like this episode is going to be important. So let's dive into it. And I have 4 things that I would like to talk about on this topic. So I'll go through one by one so that we can touch base on each one of them. Okay, but anyways, the topic we're talking on today is the impact of poverty on youth. Now, this is a very heavy topic. It's a very big topic. And the reason I wanted to touch base on this topic is because I believe that a lot of people don't give this topic much attention, or most of the youth don't understand the real impact that poverty has on them. Because poverty is a big thing, and it's a thing that's, it's been on forever, to be honest. And there are people who just think that maybe it's their destiny, or maybe they don't deserve to be wealthy, they don't deserve to be rich, this and this. And so this topic, I feel like it has the heaviness and the impact that people need to listen to. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is going to be what it's like growing up with poverty. Now, we know that when you grow up with poverty, when you grow up in struggle, you start to think on survival mode, rather than your dreams. You don't think like, I hope I will be this one day. I hope that I will become rich one day. I will do this and this to become rich one day. The one thing you think about is, am I going to be able to find something to eat tomorrow? Is my family going to find something to eat? And as a child, when you're growing up, when you witness all this from your parents, from your household, you start to think that, okay, that's the only thing you're going to grow up knowing. You're not going to grow up knowing that there's so much more that you can do. So, and the thing is, the most thing you're going to hear your parents talk about is bills, bills, bills. How are they going to be able to put food on the table? How are they going to be able to clothe their children? And when you grow up just hearing that, it shifts your mindset. You start to think different. And so for that reason, I think poverty doesn't just take away your money. It also takes away your beliefs. You don't believe that you can achieve great things because of poverty. You don't believe that you can become a success because of the poverty that you have experienced. So keep that in mind. And okay, so the other thing I would like to go on is the emotional and the mental side of this. The emotional and the mental side of poverty. It's, you have to understand, being poor isn't just about being broke. There's stress. There's so much stress that comes with it. There's so much pressure that comes with it, and a lot of embarrassment, to be honest. You will be embarrassed to be around your friends who have something because you don't have anything. You will be embarrassed to say, I can't afford this because you think they're gonna laugh at you. You have so much pressure on you to a point where you're like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? This and this and this, So, and as time goes on, because of this pressure and this so much embarrassment, you start to feel different. You start to feel like you start to get older as you see yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life? I know that. So, and this happens at a young age because of what you're witnessing in your household. So you start to think about things you shouldn't be thinking at that age that you're at. You start to think, okay, this and this. So your mind is on survival mode, And as a child, you grow up so fast. You grow up faster than you're supposed to because you're thinking about, all these things that you shouldn't even be thinking about. I hope that makes sense. So, and what these things can do is they can push you to doubt yourself, and for this reason you can push people away, and then you feel like you're stuck and all that. It's like you start to see everything and be like, no matter what I do, nothing changes. It's all the same. And this is why you start to think, okay, maybe it's not meant for me. It's just meant for someone else. Okay. Another part of this that I would want to talk about is the mindset shift. How does your mindset shift? How does it shift when you're in this situation or when you grow up in this situation as a young adult, as a teenager, as a young child who's just trying to grow up? How does your mind shift into this? So, the thing is, though, what I want you to know is that where you start doesn't really define where you finish. You can be poor today, and a few years later, you could be rich. It all depends on your mindset, right? But it's not easy to have a great mindset if you grew up in that environment. And that's why it's important to change. So, and as you will see, as you keep on seeing, there are people who came from nothing that have created greatness. And so you have to understand, you have to think, okay, there are people who were where I was before, and now they're somewhere better. And for that reason, you start to, you can start to bring your beliefs back, start to shift your mindset that maybe I can be able to do something, and all this starts with a decision. You believe you deserve more, right? You read more, you learn more, because you're never going to achieve something without learning. You're never going to achieve something without believing in yourself. And you're certainly never going to achieve something without working on it. So remember that. So let's talk about what your beliefs can do for you. You can be in a very bad situation, but with the belief that you can do so much better than your situation, the change can come. And like I said, it all begins with a decision to change. You decide, I want to change today, and when you do this, you start to, connect with people on a different level. You see, to change your mind, what you need is to get away from the environment that you grew up in. Because remember, you grew up in a poor environment, and so you're never going to be able to live, you're never going to be able to accumulate wealth or become rich if you're still in that environment. So you need to learn, read books if you have to, learn from other people, start being friends with people who have a different mindset than you, people who believe that they deserve more, people who believe that their situation is not bigger than themselves. You understand? Because your situation does not define you. The situation you're in today can change tomorrow. So never, ever think that your situation today is permanent. It's not. But like I said, it's a decision that you make, right? Don't think that dwelling with those who have nothing is going to change your situation, right? So you have to learn a skill, learn something that's going to make you different. And, when you change your mind to think different, you start to see results. You have to be disciplined as well. Discipline is the biggest thing, and consistency. Discipline and consistency. Because the truth is, you can say, I want to do this and even start it, but if you're not disciplined enough, you're never gonna be able to finish it, right? And let's say also if you do something, right, but you're not consistent with it, it's never going to grow. So you have to consistently put in work and consistently learn. So you have to know that learning doesn't end. Learning is a process that never ends, and so you have to open your mind to it. And the bad thing about poverty is that you can literally go from a child to an adult while still in that poverty. And the reason is most people is because they didn't grow up. When they grew up, their household didn't have anything. Their grandparents didn't have anything. All they grew up around was seeing their parents struggle, their grandparents struggle. They knew that to get something, it took so much more than it should have. And people will say, okay, why does it matter? It matters because, look, if you grew up when your parents were poor and they couldn't do things that made you happy or made themselves happy, and then you become an adult and you have not unlearned this, you start to see that the same patterns are continuing. And that's why it's very hard for people to break the cycle of poverty if no one in their family was ever rich or wealthy. And you see, look at it this way. If you could break the chains of poverty now, your children and possibly their children you're going to be the reference. They're going to be like, okay, my grandparent did this and this and they were wealthy. And not only that, you're going to be able to leave something for them, right? As for your kids, because you were able to break the cycle, you can be able to teach them so that they can be able to teach their kids as well. So you see that breaking the cycle is very important because not only does it help you, it helps the future generation that will come from you. You understand? So that's very important, and people need to take that serious. I'm not gonna make this long, but the only other thing I want to say is you believe, okay? Believe that you deserve more, and also work and work. But also, another thing I want to touch just a little bit is don't spend like you're a billionaire if you ever want to be wealthy or rich, right? Because if you make, let's say, $3,000 a month and you're living a lifestyle of someone who's making $10,000, now tell me, you're never going to get anywhere because, like I said again, it's all about your mindset and your discipline, right? So if you're going to spend like a billionaire when you don't even have $1,000 in your bank, it's not going to benefit you, and you're definitely never going to learn. So it's better to live like you're a poor person, right? Live like you have nothing for a better tomorrow, because you can struggle so much. You can choose to struggle today and have a better tomorrow. That's important, and that's something that people need to look into more, because in no way you're going to buy things that are out of your budget, things that you don't need, things that are just wants, and then expect yourself to move from where you are. It's not going to happen, right? So my advice to you is anything that you don't need, anything that is not an absolute need, don't buy it, don't purchase it. And when you go to purchase something, always take at least 24 hours to think about something. Think about it. Do I really need this? If after 24 hours your answer is still, I need this, then you can go ahead and buy it. But in most cases, if you take that long to think about something, by the next morning, you're going to be like, I don't really need this. Maybe it was just a desire, something you wanted. And if you can be disciplined enough and work on something, learn something, and make it work for you, in the future, maybe you can be able to afford your desires, your wants, and not just care about the needs. I hope that makes sense for anyone that's listening. But, anyways, let me say right now, you're living the poverty life, which is most of us, right? And you're trying to break out of it. You know, I get it. It's hard. It's really hard. And nobody ever did it overnight. Nobody ever did it overnight. And nobody's ever going to do it overnight, right? It takes work, hard work. It takes consistency. It takes discipline. And it takes you denying yourself most of the things that you want to even be able to get there. So think of it this way. I can suffer today, but then tomorrow I'm going to get there. So, and another thing is, you might be looking at it and being like, okay, I'm behind everyone else. Everyone else has been able to accomplish this, but I haven't. Look, you're not really behind. You're not behind. You're not behind. You're just on your own pace. That's something you have to understand. You cannot go at the same pace as everyone else. If we could all go at the same pace, yeah, that would be great, but it's not. And it's never going to happen. Everyone has their own pace. Your timeline is different from mine. The way you go about it is not the same way I'm going to go about it. We can have the same information, but not use it the same way. What you choose to do with your information is not the same thing I'm going to choose to do with my information. So remember, poverty is a big thing. It can be your beginning, but it doesn't have to be your end. You understand? Being born poor is not a problem. But if you die poor, that's a choice you made. That is your problem. Maybe try 1,000 times and fail. But if you go out knowing you did your best, you tried your absolutely best, and you failed, it's not going to be the same as someone who sat home and waited for something. And the problem is, people are more likely to wish they had something than working towards it. And that's wrong. If you ever want to be able to get something, stop wishing. Start thinking, how can I get this? What can I do to achieve this? Rather than, I wish I had this. Wishing is not going to get you anywhere. Work is. So go ahead, go to work. Work on your dreams. Don't give up on your dreams just because no one in your family is successful. No one in your family is wealthy. You haven't seen a rich family in your family. You haven't seen a rich person in your family. Don't let that define you. Don't let that define you at all. You go to work, change your family's cycle. Change it. If you see your family as poor, change that. Let the rich bloodline start with you. And it can absolutely start with you if you're willing to work and put in the work. Now, it's going to take time. Nobody ever gets rich overnight. And like I said, that's why it requires so much work, dedication, and discipline, right? It might take you 20 years. It might take you 15. It might take you longer than it took someone else. But with work and consistency, you're going to get there. So don't give up. But remember, when you keep pushing, and then someday you achieve it, you're going to look back and say, I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I worked hard. I struggled, but I got here. And I'm so glad. You're going to thank yourself. Your generation is going to thank you. And the future generation from your bloodline is going to thank you. Because you know what? You did something no one in the family thought you would do. You did something that no one in the family expected to do. You did something that no one ever expected your family to do. You raised your family name. Not only that, but you made it easy for the future generation of your family, of your household, and all that. So I'll stop here. This was short, but thank you again for listening. here on Inside Young Minds. I know this was shorter than the ones we do, but I hope that this short video taught you something. And if you did learn something, go ahead and share it. Also, remember to subscribe, like the video, and comment. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, we all want to get somewhere, and we're all working towards it. And if you're not, my call for you today is to start. You don't have to start big. You don't have to do 1,000 things at the same time. Just pick one thing that you're passionate about or something that you're good at and start doing it today. Don't wait for tomorrow, because as they say, tomorrow never comes. Today is what you have, so use it wisely. If you want to get to something, get to work. But then again, like I said, poverty should not define you. And as I said, being born poor isn't the problem. But if you die poor when you could have changed that, now that's the problem. And as always, thank you for watching and keep on growing. But we'll see you in the next episode, and it's going to be interesting too. So, peace out. Thank you for watching or listening to Inside Young Minds. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and share it with someone else who might need it. You can also find us on Instagram at inside_young minds for updates and behind the scenes. Now, there's new episodes every week. But until next time, take care of yourself and keep on growing.